Hey friend, do you want stronger legs? You want to feel the tone in your muscles? Well, this 15-minute workout is going to do just that. And we don't need to use any equipment for this one too. So before we get started though, I want to make sure that you hit that subscribe button, okay? All right, let's get to it. Let's get your hips all warmed up, legs ready to go. So we're actually gonna do something fun and different. I want you to stand up next to a wall, or you can hold on to a couch or a chair beside you. We're gonna pick this outside leg up as high as you can, pick your knee up as high as you can, then we're gonna move it in a circle. And I want you to move that leg in a circle, almost like you're trying to scrape the outside edges of your hip socket. We're trying to get as much mobility out of that hip as possible. And then let's switch directions. So come from behind and circle it from behind and back forward. Let's go one more on this side, and then we're gonna switch sides, okay? So you can turn around if you need to. Let's pick that outside leg up again, pick the knee up as high as you can, move that hip in as big of a circle as possible. We're just preparing and mobilizing that hip socket, and come from behind. As you're doing these, you want to feel like you're not leaning all the way over to the side. We're starting to get those balance muscles warming up too. Good job. Okay, plant it down. Have your feet a little bit wider than hip width here with your knees slightly, they're soft, okay? Not a full squat, but we don't want to lock those knees out either. Place your hands on your hip bones. We're going to push your hips back so you're actually just hinging at the waist. This is not a squat. It's actually more of a hip hinge, and then straighten right back out. Let's do that again. So push your hips straight back like you're trying to jam your hip bones out behind you, and then straighten back up. Let's go 6 more, just like that. Push the hips back, stand back up. You might feel a slight stretch through your glutes. Push them back, stand back up. 4 more. Straighten back out, and it should really feel like you're pressing those hip bones back, straight forward, creating that hinging action at the hips. Last 2 here. And straighten it back out. Now your feet are in the proper position for the very next exercise. So this is a classic squat. It should feel different from the last exercise we did. We're gonna sit down, reaching your hips back, but now your chest stays up. So we are sitting into a squat here. Stand back up, and as you sit down, I wanna make sure that your knees are not caving inward. Keep your knees open, and right back up. We're gonna go about 8 of these also. There's 3, arms reach forward for counterbalance. 5, 3 more. 2 more. And there's 8. Great job. This next one's kind of fun. We're actually moving across the mat and back, working on our balance as we go. So we're gonna grab one knee, hug it up into your chest, making sure that you're not rounding. Sit up as tall as you can. For added a little bit of a challenge, we're gonna see if you can lift up onto your toe, set that foot down, and then step forward. Let's march across the mat, lifting up onto your toe. Release, step it down. Reach up, release, and then we're gonna make our way all the way back to where you came from. Leg goes up onto your toe, step it forward. So we're working those ankle muscles here, working your calves. That balance is having to get warmed up too, and release. Next exercise, in fact, this is our final warm-up drill. We're gonna be working those hamstrings. So kick your heel out in front of you and then sit back into your hip. You should feel a nice stretch down the back side of those hamstrings. Stand back up and take a step forward with the other leg. Sit back into your hip, stand up forward, kick the heel down, push the hips back. Heel kicks down, press the hips back. Spin it around. We're gonna make our way all the way back. Right heel kicks into the floor, hips press back. So we're keeping it dynamic. We're moving through it. That's gonna increase the blood flow, warming up every area of that body, of your lower body. And release. Okay, so you should feel nice and warm now, and we're gonna get ready into our regular exercises. So We're revisiting that squat that we did in the warm-up, but I actually want you to plant one foot slightly more forward than the other foot. We can lift up onto this heel on the back foot, placing your hands on the back of your head like you're a prisoner, and then we're gonna sit down into a squat. So slightly staggered, okay? So one foot is slightly more forward than the other. Push through your legs to rise up, squat down again. As you're doing these staggered style squats, that back heel can lift. We want to make sure that those knees are not caving in towards each other. Keep them pressed open. Squat down and lift. Let's go one more, just like that. Stand back up, good job. Switch sides, foot goes back, squat down and lift. Keep in mind that that back heel is lifted. That's totally fine. Knees stay open. Let's go 4 more on this side. We're sitting deep into those hips, pressing equally through both legs. 2 more. I'm a terrible counter, so we could be doing 25 or we could be doing 4, I don't know. Good job, go ahead and release. We're gonna actually plant your right foot forward now, left foot back. This looks like a lunge in this position, but because we're not stepping, we're actually gonna call it a split squat. So right foot's forward, left foot is back. I want you to actually tuck your tailbone under. Oftentimes when we position that back leg back, it's automatically gonna wanna arch your back. We don't wanna do that. Tuck your tailbone under, hands can be on your hips. We're gonna sink down, placing most of our weight through this front leg. Push through that front leg to rise back up and sink down again. Push, sink down again, push. Let's go 3 more. On this side, take a look down at your knee and make sure that that knee is tracking directly over your middle toe, not over your big toe. It might want to droop inward, and we don't want that to happen. Let's switch sides. Left foot plants forward, right foot plants back. Once again, let's double check that tailbone. Make sure you're not arching at your low back, okay? Hips are squared up. Sink into that front leg. Drive the ground away from you to rise up. Sink down, push. Sink down, push. Take a look down at your front foot. Make sure that that knee is tracking right over that front foot. Let's go 2 more on this side. Push the ground away. Last one. Push, good job. We're actually gonna get all the way down on the floor for this next exercise. These are just basic bridges, planting your heels a little bit further away from your hips, about a foot away from your hips, making sure that your knees once again are not caving inward. Keep your knees open, push your heels into the floor as you lift your hips up evenly and set it back down. Let's go 10 of these. 2, 3, you should feel like you're squeezing through your glutes to lift. Keep your neck and shoulders relaxed. Let's go 4 more. You might feel like you're pressing a little harder through one foot or the other. You'll know if you are, if you feel yourself swiveling as you rise up. Make sure that you're rising up perfectly even. Okay, go ahead and release. And I want you to actually walk your feet closer together so they're almost touching. And then pick your left foot up off the floor. Now we're actually gonna bridge through only one leg, okay? A little bit harder here. Go ahead and drive that right heel down on the floor to lift both hips up and set it back down. We're just gonna go 6 of these. Make sure that the knee is still straight, pointing straight. We don't want it to flop inward or outward. Drive the heel down, lifting the hips up. Let's go 2 more on this side. Now we're really feeling those glutes and hamstrings work. Might even feel your quads just a touch. That's okay. Let's switch sides. Left heel sits down on the floor, right heel lifts. We're gonna push the ground away from you to lift your hips straight up. Here's 2, 3, 4, 5. 1 more here. And 6, really squeezing through your glutes to lift. Okay, we're gonna make our way all the way back up onto your feet. I wanna run through those same exercises again, this time just a touch quicker now that you know what we're doing. Left foot is forward, right foot is back, and it should be that your toes are lined up directly where your heel is, almost like if there's a line drawn from your heel across. your right foot toes should be touching that line, okay? That back heel is lifted a little bit. Hands are up behind your head like a prisoner. Let's go ahead and squat down in this slightly staggered stance. Those knees will want to cave in. Keep them open, okay? Throughout the whole thing, you want to keep them open. There's 2. We're going to go 8 this time. 3, 4, 5. I promise I'll actually count a little bit better this time. Let's go one more. After I said I promised I would count, I kind of stopped counting. Keep your knees open. Back heel is lifted on that left side. Let's do this side now. Squat it down and push. So even though your legs are a little offset, we're still kind of keeping the weight equal through both feet. If at any point this bothers your knees, just go back to a regular squat where your feet are parallel. That's totally fine. Let's go 2 more. Last one. Good job. Go ahead and release. I want to set up for those split squats again. Those are the ones that look like lunges, but we're not stepping, which makes it not a lunge, okay? So tuck your tailbone under, keeping your torso up nice and tall. Really good posture here. Let's sink into that front leg, not letting that knee droop in. Keep that knee open and push the ground away from you to come fully straight. It's fine to fully straighten that front knee out, by the way. Let's sink in, push. Should feel like you're driving through that front heel to lift. Let's go 4 more on this side. 2. Last one. Great job. Switch sides. Left foot forward, right foot back. And you do want to make sure that when you step this right foot back, it's directly behind where that foot would be planted up front. You don't want to be on a balance beam. You kind of want to be on rails here, okay? So sitting up tall, tailbone is tucked. And we're gonna sink it down, making sure that that front knee does not droop inward or go too crazy out to the side either. Really drive through that front leg to lift. Let's go 4 more. Last one here. Great job. Let's sit it all the way down on the floor, on your back. Feet are planted, heels drive into the floor. Let's go for 10 bridges here. So squeezing your glutes to lift your hips up and lower back down. 2, 3, make sure you're lifting evenly. So those first couple exercises really work the front of your legs, those quads. These last couple exercises are kind of targeting the back side of your legs, what I like to call that posterior chain of muscles. Your glutes, your hamstrings, those big workers, really important for those to be strong. Okay, so plant your feet closer together now. Lift your left leg off the floor. We're gonna drive through this right foot. Let's go 8 times, straight up. If at any moment this is not feeling awesome, let's just go back to the basic bridges. Just plant both feet, that's totally fine. Really pushing the floor away from you to lift the hips, squeezing at the top. We'll go 2 more. And switch sides. Right leg lifts, left leg down. Push the hips up. You will notice that depending on where your strong muscles are on that left leg here, you'll either swivel inward or swivel outward. So do your very best to lift straight up to the sky. 2 more. Last one there. Great job. Okay, my friend, it's time to cool it down, which is the best part. So we're gonna finish with some really great stretches here. Go ahead and plant your right knee down on the floor. So we're in this half kneeling position, what I like to call the proposal position. Right knee is down. If you need to use a pillow or roll your mat up, if you have tender knees, you can definitely do that here. Okay, we're gonna tuck that tailbone under, squeezing this glute to press this right hip forward. You should feel a really great stretch down the front of that hip flexor. Take that right arm up to the sky. Lean your body to the left, just a touch. You'll get that deep stretch. These muscles worked hard for us while we were doing those basic squats, split squats. This was a lot of hip flexor quad work here. One more deep inhale. Exhale, sink into it just a touch more. And release. Go ahead and extend that left leg out straight. We dabbled with this position earlier in the warm-up, but now we're gonna actually hang out in it and feel that deep stretch down that hamstring on the left leg here. You can use a wall if you need to for support. I want you to feel like you're really tipping your tailbone out behind you. The more you push your hip bones out behind you, this is not a collapse with your torso, but if you push those hip bones out behind you, you'll feel that deep stretch through your hamstring. Big deep breath in. Exhale, one more like that. Full exhale. Go ahead and bend that front knee now. And I want you to take your hands and plant them on the inside of that front leg. We find ourselves in this deep lunging position. This next one might be my favorite stretch of all time. We're gonna roll onto the outside edge of that front leg and let this knee just flop open here. You can even use your opposite hand to help kind of assist that knee open. This one is gonna get you that really good deep stretch, that deep release of tension through the hip socket where our glutes work so hard for us. We carry a lot of tension deep in those hip socket muscles, the piriformis, and the glutes. Go ahead and draw that knee back straight. We're gonna switch sides. We'll do all three of those stretches on the other side. Go ahead and plant your right foot forward now. Tuck your tailbone under. Press your hips forward. We're feeling this in your hip flexor down that left side. Squeezing that left glute. Let's add it on and reach that left arm high up to the sky. Pressing your left hip bone forward. Big exhale. Release that now. We're going to extend the right foot forward. Once again, you can hold onto the wall if you need for stability. Extend your tailbone out behind you. Really press your hip bones back. Push them back really hard. You'll feel that deep pull down that hamstring. Do your best to not collapse through your torso here. I know it's very tempting. You're trying to fold as far forward as you can, but you'll definitely feel the best stretch if you keep your posture lifted and you just think about pulling your sit bone away from your heel cap. That's where you really feel that length here. Good job. Big exhale and release. We're now going to bend that front knee. Plant your hands on the inside of that foot. You can release your back foot, by the way. Once again, favorite stretch ever. We're rolling onto the outside edge of that foot, kind of sinking into that hip. If you want to press that knee open a little bit more to feel that depth in the hip socket. So we've come so far. We started with a really thorough warm-up where we were working on balance and just getting a little bit of that movement preparation. And then we went into some great, just basic strength training exercises, targeting all of your major muscle groups, all through your legs, and now finishing with a great cool down with some very good targeted stretches. Go ahead and release. There we go. Great job. Hey, I hope that felt so good. If you loved this video, I've got another one that I think you're gonna like too. I'm gonna link that above. And hey, go leave a comment below. I would love to hear what you thought about this video.